Alright, Comment Gaming here. I'm gonna do the 11 Days of Remembrance videos. This is day one. And, alright, this is, alright, chapter one. The Man. Guts and glories in the RAF. Cocky, capable Douglas Barrett was a plan to RAF bosses alike. Few men became legends in their lifetime. Douglas Barrett was one of the men. Infant terrible fighter ace, infant escape his but irredeemable, yet again his courage capable of event. Douglas was born on February 10th, 1910, in London, England, son of Frederick Robert Batter. I don't know who the heck Frederick Robert Batter was. Oh well. And Jesse Batter. From the start, his life followed no pattern, but Douglas was few months old. His family returned to India, where his father worked as a civil engineer. Young Douglas was left behind because his family thought him too young for India's harsh climate. He did not rejoin them until he was 2 years old. In the beginning, long life was longer. The Bader family returned to England in 1913, the following year, which World War One began. Frederick Bader went with the British Army into France. It was the last time Douglas saw his father, who died in France of complications from a shrapnel wound in 1922 and was buried near the town of St. Omer. 21 years later, his son would be held prisoner in a hospital for not far from where his father was buried. Jesse Bader later married a mild Yorkshire clayman. I don't understand what that is, but okay. Reverend William Hobbs, who was safety rudely awakened to his attention. Family Douglas and throughout his early years, Douglas showed a fierce pace determination. His excellent sports such as rugby, football. When he was captain of the rugby team, he met on leadership. He later became captain of the cricket team at St Edward's School, Oxford, at age 15, and won every senior race he entered. 1923, Douglas stayed with his aunt Hazel Bader and his band flight Lieutenant Cyril Bigger, who later addressed the Royal Air Force RAF College in Cornwall. Seeing airplanes at close quarters for the first time excited him greatly, and his heredity is sporting. Then, in flying in 1927, Douglas tried to figure out what he would to become an insurer and to do with an RAF cadet visit St. Edward's result of flying. His stepfather could not afford the annual fee of £150. Returning from return, returning attack in 1940, descent to Duxford by Charles Thompson. Okay, interesting. All right. At Cornwall, the route opened to Douglas, which to therefore won 6 free cadetships offered each year during that event. Very often attended, edited by Bashir Bader, student for months, which he with math. In the summer of 1928, he took the written exam, which he found fairly straightforward. He scored 235 points out of a positive possibility 250. Bader soon received word from the Air Ministry that he had placed fifth in the examination and had won his cadetship. Batter later to Cornwall in September 1928, his flight training went. Luckily, he stood after 6.5 hours of dual instruction. A mortal 5 feet 10 inches Batter had in the words of his biographer, the athlete's coronation of eye, mind, and muscle that made a different air. Not all of his regulation. Sometimes on solo flights, Batter would climb out of the rear cockpit in mid-air and throttle the fuselage and tie a handkerchief around the control stick in the front cockpit without a parachute. To this fellow cadets, Batter was superior youth, but his superiors did not like his rebellious nature. Halfway through the 2-year course, when the cadets took progress exam, Batter came out 18th out of 21 cadets. Colonel Command Air Vice Marshal Hallivan warned him that you're young, I can understand your trouble, but the Air Force won't go on understandably. They want men here, not schoolboys. Bader emerged from Kellen to Kutusaka, knowing that the commander was right. He stood harder, and his flying became better than ever. Bader missed being awarded the Sword of Honor, which was given to the top graduate cadet, but he came in a close second. After graduating from Cornell in 1930, Bader was commissioned a pilot officer and promoted to number 23 Squadron at Kenley Airfield. Flying to the Gossamer Gameback biplane flyers, he stirred effortlessly into squadron life. Total 23 Squadron was re-equipped with Bristol Bulldog fighters. The Bulldog was faster than the Gamehawks, but heavier and liable to lose height rapidly in low-altitude maneuvers. On Monday, December 14, 1931, Douglas Bader flew from Kenley to Woodley Airfield along with two other pilots of the squadron. A Woodley struggling young pilot was discussing Jethro. Bader refused, cutting his auxiliary flying apparatus and a bulldog. The master was dropped until Bader and the other pilots were leaving another pilot. It again Bader refused some digression and to do it and some other the field flying low fast across the field. Bader began a slow roll, but in his experience, the bulldog he flew too low. The bulldog left wing struck the ground, and the plane cartwheeled quickly the wreckage of the cross. Bader was pulled from the bulldog's wreckage from shocking on looking, taken immediately to the Royal Berkshire Hospital, where he placed in the care of Dr. Leonard Joyce, one of England's best surgeons. Joyce immediately amputated Bader's right leg above the smashed knee, where it did not take long. It was almost off already. For a time there was hope that Bader's left leg could be saved. Then, several days later, Johnson sent in with no choice. Joyce amputated the leg 6 inches below the knee. After his surgery, Bader's condition worsened. None of the doctors expected the 21-year-old pilot to live. Then he issued one nurse warning another to be quiet. There's a boy dying in there. There was intolerable to him. Bader rolled and began to recover. He was never to fear dying again. After a long Thankful recovery, Bader was transferred to the RAF hospital in Unbriggs in 1932, where they became acquired craft designer. The original Douglas Bader was the first customer to require two differential legs. Just with the physical Bader began to remarkable his both physical and mentally after several months of agonizing effort. Bader learned to walk on both 10 legs. He refused to walk a walking stick, saying, "I'm going to start way I mean to go on." Soon, driven a car with the pedals moved to coordinate his legs. Bader throughout the returned to flying after a weekend spent with the Undersecretary of State for Air Sir Philip Sanson. In June 1932, Bader's desire to fly reached fever pitch. He also was Landing Airfield. Again, a flight for him and an Avro 504 trainer. Bader handled with the Avro left nothing but desired. Later RAF Medical Board found him fit for registered flying duties. Soon afterwards, in April 1933, Bader was informed by the Air Force that he was to be retired on grounds of ill health, which left him feeling shocked and numb. With weeks, Bader left at the RAF on a total disability pension. For 6 years following his retirement from RAF, Bader penning his future at the last beginning, looked back at his lucky and his man, Alberto de Petro, then married in 1935, and she was devoted to him for 37 years. Once asked about his survived, Bader replied, "I would have stuck it out through Bader's defense spirit made no concerns and ability from the squash and became interested in golf. Years later, he reduced his golf handicap to two. Despite his new life, however, Bader longed to fly again. In September 1939, after the start of World War II, Bader began applying to the RAF for flight duties and was helped in this quest by the Air Ministry. He attended a selection aboard by his own Cornwall Ministry officer, Air Vice Marshal Halloran. "I have known this officer since he was a cadet at Cornwall under my command," Halloran wrote. "If he is fit apart from his leg, I suggest you give him A-1B flying duties categories and leave it to Certified Flying School to access his flying abilities." Bader walked out of the Air Ministry feeling that the wasted years were cancelled, and the picking up again from Western at the RAF Central Flying School on November 27, 1939, 8 years after his accident. Douglas Bader flew solo again at the controls of an Avro Tudor K-3242. Once airborne, he could not resist the temptations to turn the Tudor biplane upside down at 600 feet. Instead, the circuit area, the chief flight instructor replied to the student to report length at instructor at CAF. Long the Bader, I knew it was the chief instructor said, Cody, be good enough to ask him not to repeat all the flying crew. Miles and the last step an RAF pod took before going to Supermarine Spitfires and Hawker Hurricanes. 2 weeks after flying, Master Bader was delighted to get a chance inside the cockpit of a Hurricane. From the start, he felt a part of the Hurricane was the most responsive aircraft he had yet flew in. After 20 minutes in the air, he made a smooth landing. In February 1940, Browder joined No. 19 Squadron at Duxford. At age 29, he was older than most of the other pilots in the squadron. 2 months later, he was appointed flying commander in 222 Squadron, another Duxford base unit re-equipped from Belgian bombers to Spitfires. Before he took up the appointment, Butter carefully took off with his section with his Spitfire's propeller set to cross-air patch used for low RPM cruise instead of fine pitch, which gave high RPM for takeoff power, and he crashed. Butter was uninjured except for bent legs and a badly detained ego. Shocked by his stupidity, Butter finally admitted his mistake to 12 crew under Ace Fire Trial Lee Murray, who saw it the first time mistake, and did not cancel Butter's appointment to 222 Squadron as commander or position of flight. Butter currently began training his 202 flight on style quickly on yet another just for 222 Squadron. 1940 was sent along with RAF Squadron to over the British and French evacuations from Dunkirk. One mission over Dunkirk with rather fleeing Messerschmitt Me-110s battered Site 4 Me-109s approaching his flight. Bader went after the German fighters. 109 saw up in front, his thumb jabbed the firing button, and the guns in the wings squirted with a shocking noise. Wrote Buckshell. The 109 burst into flames, spun into the ground. Bader's first kill. In June 1940, Bader was given command of 242 Squadron, a Canadian unit that only one in RAF at the time. 242 had been badly mutilated in France, and its morale was low. Bader first became squadron headed Korsel airfield for the first time. Pilots were skeptical, and they nevertheless 1242 Hurricane at the Korsel defied the 242 pilots. Bader quickly transferred the 242 into Type Squadron towards his pilots, ground crews, and the RAF High Command with Sugden Bush. After charge 242 Squadron, Bader soon discovered that the unit did not have the spare parts or tools to keep its 18 Hurricanes in flight operation. After a short time, it descended to the High Command. Their chief sure hard driving to correct the mess with 24 hours. 242 had all the tools and spare it needed, and Powder signed 12 crew 242 fully operational. Uh, on July 11, during a rainstorm that prevented him from getting a section of fighters off the ground, Powder took off in a hurricane, found the donors just with the bad weather, and attacked. He killed its tail gunner and saw it disappear in a cloud. Certainly got in the way. Bowder returned to face 5 minutes after landing. Bowder was informed that a ground observer had seen the donor cross into the sea. On August 30th, 242 Squadron indicated a group of 30 German bombers and fighters attacking North Weald Airfield. Crowder shot down an Me-110, and the rest of his squadron claimed 11 kills, and which was a total, but Bader believed that if they had had three more squadrons attacking the huge German formation, all the attacking planes would have been shot down. this is the big win concert early 20 because the Luftwaffe armies were essential for the RAF success, and the battle lead began decade to Red Wing in action. He grouped 242 with two other fighters, Squadron 19 Squadron and the Czech 310 Squadron at Dusford, later the wing for the first time September 7, 1940 against a large German formation heading for London. We had been already going for we had been looking for the formation of 36 fighters. Bauer wrote years later, but we were unshakily having been scrambled at late, but all 242 and 310s could do was attack best they could do while 19 Squadron Spitfires tried to hold off the attacking Me-109s. The wing managed to destroy 11 aircrafts. Only two Hurricanes shot down. Batter wrote two more. The Polish 302 Hurricane Squadron and the Auxiliary 601 Spitfire Squadron were added to Duxford Wing, giving 5 Squadron 60 fighters with the as Hurricanes. At a low level, 20,000 feet, we were called in time with the Spitfire protecting 5,000 feet higher. Batter saw it like a charm once or twice. Hard piercing 11 group was paid off. Helped 11 group up 1940 which Balladieu. In March 1941, Batter, now a wing commander, left 242 Squadron. Look after the tunnel ring. While commanding the wing, Batter introduced the so-called Finger Four formation with two parts of fighters flew beside each other, scrapping for ever the unwieldy three-aircraft squadron. Based on the Luftwaffe's Swarmman Air Forces, Bader really came into his own commanding the China Ring. His teamwork with the Wing Commander A.G. Woodhull and Gerd helped to re-engine due to an upcoming engagement. He was able to keep up the defense, often coming across the channel. After a mission, Bader would flip back the canopy of his Spitfire, upcoming his oxygen mask, and he holding the stick between his good knee and his tin knee, light up his pipe. Pilots flying alongside the Spitfire DB would sear off half in his chest and half in his earnest, and Crepit plane blew up for his brilliant inside leadership of the turn wing. With the Chandler, the B-line bus service, the Pumpet regular service return tickets only. Bader was awarded a bar to his DSO. Bader entered with not landing wing over France, August 9th, 1941. He was downed by a Mitterspit Me-109 and captured by the Germans. He would spend most of finally in the spring of 1945. The Americans' First Army took rush to Paris, joining a Spitfire for one last flying before the war ended. Burmson was refuted better personally was granted 22.5 German aircraft destroyed. Bader returned to England and took command of the fighter leader school at Trafalgar, where he was promoted to group captain. Later the year, he commanded the Essex sector of 11th Group. On December 15th, he personally led the victory flight of 300 RAF planes over London. The RAF offered him the rank and seniority he would have enjoyed if he had not been shot down, but Farrell left the Premier Air Force would be antiquated after his wartime experience. Shell Oil Company offered him a job in its aviation department, where his own airplane. Bader thought about it for 4 months, then reached from the Royal Air Force for the last time. Sir James Robb, Chief Fighter Command, wrote Bader, "All I can say is that you leaving behind an extraordinary watch the years go by will become legend." After leaving the RAF in late February 1946, Bader flew all over the world, often with Timberleaf touring Europe, Africa, and America. He spent hours visiting veterans hospitals. In 1976, Bader was knighted by Queen Elizabeth for his services to amputees, so many of whom he had helped, and inspired by his excellent daughter. After Timberleaf's death, he managed to marry Joan Mary, who shared his education and public work for the disabled. He worked with his being exhausted from anyone letting authorities entering her condition, but ironly willpower drove on until August 1982, when he suffered a mild heart attack from a golfer named Angelo. Weeks later, on September 5th, 1982, after marrying a guest speaker at the honoring the 90th birthday of the Marshal of the Royal Air Force, Sir bomber Harris Douglas Bader died of a heart attack. He was 72 years old. He became a legend of first and the personal RAF as a heroism during the Second World War. The London Times obituary said, and the Bader's brother-in-law, Wing Commander P.D. Lucas, himself a designated RAF pilot, said of Bader, "One thing considering, historians will never find another like him." That's the end of chapter 1 of um, Men of World War II. I'd like to say thank you to the veterans who fought. This concludes day 1 of 11 Days of Remembrance. If you see a veteran, say thank you to them. If you see a veteran that looks like they're upset, buy them a coffee, talk to them, maybe they need a friend. And I'd like to say thank you for the veterans of the First World War and Second World War, and the Second World War fighting against the Nazis. I say thank you. And if they did not fight in World War II, I would not have the freedom to make these videos. So thank you.